Hey guys, Aaron Farmer here, just from mysugarfreejourney.com. Just wanted to talk with you guys a little bit this morning before I went out and started my day as an essential part of the workforce. I tell you, it's still a little bizarre to be called essential, but I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about the end of my fast. My fast ended yesterday. Thank God. If you ever want food to taste the most delicious, like the most unbelievably, incredibly delicious food that you've ever eaten in your whole life, go on a fast for 3 days. And whatever you eat, doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter if it's good. It doesn't even matter if you enjoy it in the course of your normal day. When you eat it, it will taste amazing. And I want to talk. So I want to talk about the end of the fast. I want to talk about baseball a little bit, um, and I want to talk about mass. So this I thought was interesting. There's a couple doctors that I follow online on Twitter, and one of them was pointing out this fact right here. Let me see if I can show you this graph. There it is. So this is the rate of infection of this COVID-19 virus, and you can see these countries, all of these countries right here, where it's not normal to wear a mask in the course of your normal life. The rate of infection is going up and up and up and up and up. Some of them are flattening out, but some of them are not. And then the four below, where these are Asian countries, so Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, and South Korea. These are Asian countries where it's a little more common just to wear masks if you're healthy. Um, you know, you've probably seen pictures or videos of people, especially in Japan. But they just walk on the street. They're not sick. They're perfectly healthy. They just wear a mask. And it would seem that the more common those masks are, the less the rate of infection within those populations are. So there's a case to be made for wearing masks even when you're healthy, uh, which is interesting. And the corollary to that is, if, like, let's say, for instance, my family, just when we left the house, we wore a mask, put a mask over nose and mouth, and that's how we left the house, and that's how we kind of interacted with the world. We would probably have masks here right now to wear. And boy, there's been a couple times, especially as I go to work, that I wish I had a mask. Um, because that's the most frustrating thing about this disease is other diseases, if you get infected, you show symptoms, you go home, you stay indoors, and you that's how you stop the spread of the infection. Is it makes you sick and you go home. This one, you could have it and be actively spreading it for 2 weeks or more, um, before you actually show symptoms and get sick. Um, and that's the part of this disease that's making it really, really pernicious. That's making it really difficult to kind of get a handle on it. Is there's I mean, I might have it. I might have it right now. I mean, I'm interacting with the public every day. I might be spreading it right here, right now, around my house, and I do my best not to touch my face, touch my nose, but if there's anything that this whole tragedy has taught me, is that I touch my face and I touch my nose a lot. I wash my hands regularly, very often, but still, probably not enough. Probably not enough. And that's the other thing, is that wearing a mask would make it, you'd have that barrier to, before you actually touch your face. Like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. Um, so it's an interesting idea that maybe we should make wearing masks a more common thing when you're out in public. And the the other thing about that is as bad as this disease is, we may look back on this as the first of many diseases that devastate our country in 5 years, in 10 years. I mean, this is the third coronavirus outbreak this decade. Or, I'm sorry, this century. So we're only 20 years into the century. We've already had the MERS outbreak. Didn't really affect America too much, but it hit Canada pretty strong. And then the SARS outbreak, that was in 2004, I think, or maybe that was MERS. I forget when. But we've already had three coronavirus outbreaks this century. Um, so 3 in 10 years, that's not a good ratio. Is this something that's just going to happen every 6 or 7 years? I hope not, because this is uniquely devastating to the economy. I mean, the government just okayed a $2 trillion stimulus package, I guess is what you'd call it. But I mean, we're already trillions of dollars in debt. Where the heck are we going to get $2 trillion from? I don't know. I don't know. It's boy, it's something. Um, so I think that there's a case to be made for wearing masks in public when you're healthy. That appears to be, if a big enough percentage of the population do it, it appears to be something that slows down the rate of all diseases. I don't know that it would necessarily keep you healthy. I guess maybe it would keep things from getting in your mouth and whatnot, and it would keep you from touching your mouth and nose. Yeah, so yeah, it would keep you healthy. It would keep the people around you healthier. Um, so I think it would probably be a good idea if we ever get to the place where there's mass available on the shelf again. I think it would be a good idea. The other thing, so I want to talk about the end of the fast. Okay, yeah. I said if you want food to taste good, go on a fast. The other thing that you have to be careful of, and I didn't really realize it, is when you're coming off of a fast, you're voracious. You just want to eat everything. You've got to be very careful because I realized yesterday that at the end of a fast, my hunger is at its highest because, and that's the strange thing. I'll tell you this about fasting. Your hunger goes up as you approach the end of a fast, not because your stomach's empty, because your stomach's been empty for days, but there's something about that anticipation. Like, I'm going to eat in an hour. I'm going to eat in 30 minutes. I'm going to eat in 15 minutes. Like that anticipation of a food about to come, your body ramps up the hunger hormones and it ramps it up hard. Like I don't feel hungry on day 2. I don't feel hungry for most of day 3. I'm usually fine. But the closer and closer I get to that deadline that I've set for myself, the hungrier and hungrier I get, especially if I start smelling food. And so when you're most hungry, your willpower is at its lowest. You need to be careful that you don't eat crap. Like yesterday, I had fried chicken strips. Those aren't good. I mean, those aren't even carnivore. I mean, I know they're chicken, but they had breading on them. They're not. I mean, they weren't even like great. They weren't like great, but they were there and they were in front of me, and I wanted to eat them and whatever. So be careful. If you're coming off a fast, make sure that your willpower is up to the task, and don't allow crap foods in front of you. I wanted to mention baseball. So baseball had its opening day yesterday. It would have been, the normal opening day, but of course, baseball's been canceled. So what they did was they replayed, like they gave every team its own game. Basically, they replayed it it was like a best of game, and our game. So I'm a Texas Rangers fan. I may have a Texas Ranger. Yeah, look at that. I have a Texas Ranger shirt on. So I have or it just says Texas baseball, doesn't it? Yeah, no, there's a T down there. So I'm a huge Texas Rangers fan. Always been a Texas Rangers fan. I love Texas Rangers. And our game was when we defeated uh, the New York Yankees in 2010 in the ALCS. We won the American League pennant, and that was our first trip to the World Series. Now that year ended in heartache. The next year ended in absolute devastation, but it was fun. And thank you, baseball, MLB, for doing that so much. I mean, because I've pretty much watched everything I want to watch. I'm only 4 episodes into Tiger King. Oh, that's a crazy show, but it was so nice. I love baseball. It was so nice just to watch an old Texas Rangers baseball game, to see these players that I followed so closely and loved, and see Josh Hamilton again. It's that's a dude whose life is flown off the rails. But man, 2010, 2011, he was such a stud. I love watching them. All those pitchers that were pitching amazing games, Tali Feliz, and just it was great. It was a little bittersweet watching these games, knowing what was about to happen, knowing what was about to happen in 2010, and knowing what was about to happen in 2011. Uh, 2011 still, like, there are nights that I cannot sleep because I'm thinking about Game 6 of the 2011 World Series. It's and that's a literal. I mean, that's what, 9 years ago. That is a literal thing that happens. Uh, there are nights when I there are nights that I think about that ball going over the right fielder's head, and I can't sleep. It bothers me so much. Anyway, Nelly Cruz. Jeez. Okay, so we'll stop talking about that. Congratulations to the Cardinals. There was a lady that came into my store the other day, and she was wearing a 2011 World Series champion St. Louis Cardinals jacket, and it was all I could do not to rip it off of her. I was like, get that mess out of here. Anyway, I love baseball, and I was glad to see a little bit of baseball yesterday, so that was nice. All right, guys, stay safe. Just a reminder: if you're worried about this virus, and you should be, a couple things that you could do. And I'm not a doctor, so take this with a grain of salt, but tank your blood sugar. Get your blood sugar as low as possible. I'm fasting for 3 days. I'm carnivore for the other 4. That's what I want to do. I want to keep my blood sugar as low as possible, and keep your cholesterol as high as possible. There's a lot of evidence that shows high cholesterol. I would never take a statin, but if I was taking a statin, I would think about discontinuing my statin right now, while this infectious disease is going on, because there's a lot of evidence that high cholesterol is what you want when when your immune system is under attack. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm certainly not telling you to stop the doctor's prescription, but you might look at the evidence and think about it. Anyway, appreciate you guys watching. We'll talk to you later. Bye bye.